Hi, I'm Tom Gardega, and I hope that I can convince you to purchase the TAFTOG estimating program. Through this set of instructional videos, I think you'll see that it is a very easy program to use, very powerful. It has features in it that you won't find in programs costing thousands of dollars more, and this is substantially less than $1,000, in fact, less than $500 for this program. So without further ado, let's get into it. When you first open up your program, you're going to see this page. It's the introduction page. And I'd like to tell you right now that when if you purchase a program and download it into your computer, make sure that you save it as a template, because a template is a read-only file and you can't corrupt that file. But you can save as any job number or anything else, and then you can use the program once you do that. The other thing that I'd like to say is that you only change items that are in red, never any other color. If you do that, you will not corrupt the program. The other thing here is we have documents that if you would open them up, this is a description and this is an instruction manual that goes with it. If you click on it, it will bring you to those pages. However, we're going to go through it in depth here in this video, so we don't need to do it at this time. This is the first page that opens up. The next thing to know is there is a whole series of tabs down here. You work from left to right, and when you get to the end, you will have an accurate estimate. You don't need to use all the tabs that are in here because you may not have all the rooms. You may not need to get into some of the tabs, but in the future you may have to. But at this point, we're just going to start with labor burden. Labor burden is something that you pay your men. You may pay your men like $30 an hour, $20 an hour, but that's not the amount of money that you have to pay, because you have to pay the government for FICA, federal income tax, all that stuff from FICA, Social Security, New York State disability. This is the amount for New York State. However, other states may have other values, and then you would change it right here in red. This is also the New York State unemployment insurance, medical insurance, vacation and personal sick days, retirement, employee benefits, and then vehicle, but we'll get to that in a moment. If you add all this up, it comes out to about 35%, which is about standard for a non-union contractor. If you are a union contractor, in the instruction manual, it will tell you how to set the value, take an other and put in a certain value in here, and you would cover the union contractor rates. Going on to the Job Average Worksheet. This is, if you notice what we calculated here in purple, 1.35, going back to this sheet, this is 1.35%, which is the 35% plus 100%, so that we can multiply with that figure. And I have here one $30 an hour man, one $20 an hour man. Keep in mind, this is just a list of the type or classification of the personnel. You have foremen, working foremen, journeymans, different rates of them, junior mechanics, helpers, different rates of them. And you can change whatever you're paying them in red here, and then you just put the quantity of the men that of each rate that you have that's working on a particular crew. In this case, we have one $30 an hour man, and we have one $20 an hour man. Let me just lower this so you can see it a little better. One $20 an hour man, and it comes out to an average with this burden of 1.35. That $30 an hour man comes out to $40.50 an hour. That's what you have to pay. He sees in his paycheck $30, but you have to lay out $40.50 in order to cover him. And the $20 an hour man is, with the burden, is $27. That's what the burden is. it totals up to $67.50 divided by 2. Our weighted average rate per hour per man is $33.75. Now going back to our labor burden worksheet, some contractors, particularly HVAC contractors, like to put their vehicles, because they have service vehicles with 2 men, 1 man in it, as a part of burden, not as overhead. In that case, you have to know what is your cost to support that vehicle per month in insurance and the loan payment. And let's hypothetically say that it is $500. And now this calculated what that would be, and the way that it does it is it takes the, going back here, it takes this $50 that you're paying that combined men, going back, and it takes that number, that $50, and it divides it by this number here, I'm sorry, D19, 500, and divides it by D18 from this worksheet, which is that $50, going back, and multiplies that by 40 hours per week times 52 weeks divided by 12, which will give us the price per month, and then that will give us our total amount. Okay, and that's 5.77 adds. So if you were putting this vehicle that cost $500 and that was your crew mix of a $30 and a $20 an hour man, this would be 1.408, which would be 40.77% burden rate. However, if your crew mix changes and you have higher or lower paid men, then that number would change. For example, the more that you increase that you pay your men, the portion that you're taking of it to cover the vehicle means that the percentage is going to be less. If you're paying the men less, that percentage is going to be higher. For example, I don't have one $30 an hour man. I have one $40 an hour man. And this changed the rate. You notice it went down from 1.408 to 1.39, and that changed here. Okay, so let's go back. Let's go to 0 here. We're not going to use a vehicle rate or a vehicle burden thing any further. Going back here, we're going to change to the $30 an hour man again. This is 1. This is 0. We're back to an average weighted average rate of 33.75. Uneven productivity is the next tab. This is where you have to take, this is set up so that we have the calculated uneven productivity equal to the published labor units that you would take from a manual of labor units, and it becomes an adjustment factor of 1, which means it doesn't change. But you need to calculate your men on particular tasks to find out what their productivity is. No 2 men, by the way, work at the same rate. So if you want to find more about uneven productivity, I have another video that shows you how to measure it, how to calculate it, and how to apply it, and then how to use your published rates, and that will give you either less than 1, which you're more efficient, or more than 1, which means that you're less efficient than the published rates, and you have to adjust your estimates accordingly. This will do it for you if you do it. For example, I have a $6, a man that does particular tasks in 6 hours, and another man working on the same task with him 8 hours, but this is only 50%, the actual time to install is only 50% of the labor hours. In this case, it becomes here 0.5, that you can change that value, but most people use 0.5, which divides 6 times 0.5, I get 12, 8 divided by 0.5, I get 8, and I have these factors here. And then basically you can use the same formula as resistors in parallel, and that will give you uneven productivity rate. And in this case, we have 13.7143 hours. Our published rates, if we're looking at that same task, and I look at what the estimating program comes up in hours, it's the same, so there is no adjustment. The next important tab is overhead. Overhead is what you have to pay not directly to the men, direct job costs, direct material costs, direct other costs, or direct labor costs. Those are the men who actually do the work or the material that actually goes into one particular job, not all the other things that support your company, such as professional fees and rent and mortgage and utilities and secretarial and truck drivers and warehouse men, the boss. All those things are considered overhead because they're not actually installing the materials that you're putting into a job. Here we have direct labor expense estimated or actual. We're taking it from your income statement. In this case, it was for this job was $11,700, and the G&A selling expenses for that period, maybe this was for a month, was $7,800, and it's all calculated for you. And if you want to know how to calculate your overhead, I have another video on that in this series that you can look at, and it will tell you exactly how to do it. And it comes out to, for a non-union contractor, this is pretty typical, is 40%. Union contractors may be down 20%, but they may have a limitation where the government or the work that they're doing tells them that they can only have a 10% profit and 10% overhead. In that case, they take the balance of what their true overhead is and they put it into their burden to labor. But they will get to that in another video. Total material and sales quote. In this, we have different fixture types, fixture A, B, C, D, E, F, G. You can change these names. For example, I have $26. Actually, I can put these all at 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. It's not going to change the estimating value, but it gives you some information if you want to see it as we go along. Anyway, we have fixture A. You get a quote on it, and the supply house is telling you fixture A is $26.92, and fixture B is the same, the same thing. Fixture C is this price, and then we have hanging ceiling light, hanging wall light, hi-hat, 6-inch with trim, hang battery smoke detector. These things are not part of labor units. You have to find out the price of each one of these things. You have to get a quote on it. You're not going to find fixture prices in a material quote because fixtures, you can have a 2x4 lay-in fixture that can cost, $50 and one that costs $400. So no one's giving you a price on that in a labor unit thing in a general price. It's a quoted price. So that's what this is. And then we have this, in this case, this comes out to $34.99 because we're using a 30% markup. And that's the only place that we use a markup is on material only, because if I bought that fixture at $26.92, I don't want to sell it at $26.92. I want to put some markup on it because otherwise you're just a free bank that's giving free money away because your customer may not pay you for 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, 120 days, and you need to account for that. And also the fact that you have handling. You did a purchase order, paperwork, you went down to the supply house, it was either delivered to you or you picked it up, and also if it wasn't delivered, if you picked it up, that costs money. If it's delivered, you still have to make sure that the delivery is what you ordered, put it in inventory, and then deliver it to the job. There's all kinds of handling that goes with it. You want to make sure that that is covered. Down up here, this is, maybe I should move this so you can see it. Should be able to move this. Oh, you can't see. And anyway, this is the equipment rental and subcontract quotes. Let me make this a little smaller, and maybe you can see it. This is the equipment rental subcontract quotes. So if I had an equipment rental that cost me $500 or something for the total time of the contract, I would just put it into these numbers. And this is if I had a subcontract, the same thing. Okay. Now going back over here a second. On the fixture, this number, if I change it, isn't going to make a difference. All it tells me that if I get a quote from my supplier and I'm asking for a quote on 10 of these fixtures, 10 of those fixtures, and 10 of those fixtures, okay, what happens is this is just telling me what I have to pay for the contractor, and down below it will total up everything there. That's not going to affect your estimate here because we put quantities in elsewhere. It's just giving you a value that you can look at. These next quotes, this is just a list of the tasks. This is how most electricians do their work. You have layout and mount boxes, drill holes, pull wire, cut in, splice, trim. And then these are things that you don't normally think of that you have to have in a labor unit is quality control and testing, labels and tags, hanging fixtures, equipment. For example, hanging fixtures, that's not part of the price of purchasing a fixture and all, because the time can make a big difference. For example, you can have a chandelier, simple little builder's fixture that you may put up in a half hour, but you can get a chandelier with 1,000 crystals on it, or maybe it weighs 2,000 pounds. Obviously, that's going to be a whole lot different price than just a simple little builder's fixture, and no one knows what that is. Only you would know it for a particular job, so no one ever puts down the labor units for hanging fixtures. You have to add it in. Equipment, oil, gas, AC, and air handlers, services and panels, panel schedules. It takes time to make up a panel schedule. Someone in the field has to develop it, and someone in your office has to type it, and then it has to go back out to the field to be applied. That's according to code. Install hi-hats and bath fans, conduit runs, low voltage systems, trenching, pools, reports, troubleshooting, design, consultation, drawings, adjustments, as-built, testing, concrete cutting and core drilling, commissioning, benchmarking, and others. There's a host of other things that you may have to develop labor units for. Room names. In the TAFTOG program, all these names, this is mostly for residential, all the things that you can think of the rooms that are in a residential: attic, basement, baths, bedrooms, breakfast rooms, den, dining, entertainment, equipment rooms, foyer, garage, gazebo, great rooms, greenhouse, halls, kitchen, landscape, laundry, living room, master bath, master bedroom, outside back, outside front, outside kitchen, outside side, pantry, parlor, playroom, pool equipment, pool house, shed, sunroom, and then all. This is if you're doing, you just want to get a quick estimate and you don't want to put the values in individual rooms. You can just put it all in a room called all. Okay. These next two in blue are the level. In other words, this is first floor, second floor, third floor. The phase is fixtures, branch, gear, feeders, equipment, low voltage, so on and so forth. This next tab is an assembly entry tab that you can build your own blank labor units, although I wouldn't recommend it. It's probably easier to take the developed, not labor units, but assemblies that are already made for you and just change the quantities or the material that's in it, and I'll show you how to do that in a second. Here's the room all. Okay, it starts with everything for residential that you can think of that can go into residential, every single assembly. This is ceiling light fixtures. This is wall light fixtures, post light, landscape lights, 120 volts, hi-hat assemblies, bath fans, ceiling fans, low volt landscape lighting, smoke and carbon detectors, switches. This is 1-gang switch, 2-gang switch, 3-gang, 4-gang, so on and so forth, 5-gang, service switch for like a piece of equipment, single receptacle, duplex receptacle, quad receptacles, switch duplex receptacles, double split receptacles, power receptacles, 30 amp, the other was 50. Okay. 50 amp. GFCIs, you're getting the point, I think, about what's in here. So let's just start up on the beginning and take. The first thing that you want to do is you want to go all the way to the end to see the break-even point. And as long as this is all in 0, that means you don't have any material anywhere. So you always want to check that if you're starting with a new program that you didn't inadvertently put something that will increase your estimate that you don't want. Remember what I said on the quote markup is 30%? Well, here it is here. 1.3 is the 30% markup. Okay. Job average. Here's our job average labor rate, 33.75, and our 40% overhead. Okay, going back to the room all. Let's say I have no ceiling lights, but I'm going to put in some hi-hats. Okay. There's the hi-hats, and this is just one room that we're going to put in. And I'm just going to say there's going to be 6 hi-hats in this room. You always have to have one branch segment. If we're dealing with wire or conduit, the branch segments may be more than one, but everything else is just one. So only wire and conduit will have more than one branch segment. The quantity or average branch length, in this case, it's just the quantity, and we're going to say that it's, I'm putting in 6 of them. And if you notice, I have the hi-hat, I have a quantity factor of 1. I have the material price is $49.40. The labor hours, it's a half hour for that to install it. The hi-hat trim is 0.25 decimal labor hours. I have 2 3/8 inch Romex connectors because we're going in and out. We have a label one label, and that's just it's just 25 cents. Wire termination labor cutting and splice for 14 RX, which is typical for lighting and residential. There's 6 of them. Wire nut medium red, we have a quantity factor of 3 per each. We have 1-inch tech screws. Okay, quantity factor of 4. A hi-hat has those 4 arms that come out, and you have to fasten each one of them down. Quality control for receptacle switches, fixtures, low voltage, so on and so forth, 1. Romex 14.2, we have a quantity of 2 feet into the box. We're not using any 14.3, 12.2, or 12.3 because we have those quantity factors set at 0. Okay, these are the task numbers that apply to it. T12, if you go back to the tasks here, you can see what T12 is. Okay, T12 is T1, T2, is install hi-hats, bath fans, so on and so forth. Go back to all. And this is calculating everything for you here, but it also adds it up all the other things. And let's say in that room now, I don't have any bath fans, but I do have a ceiling fan, and I'm going to say there's one of them. And that added up everything on that. I'm not going to change anything on it. And then this is no smoke. We won't put the smoke or carbon here. I have, let's say it's a 2-gang switch. Okay, switch box. 2-gang switch box. Now I have to look at some quantities here. I have 1 plastic nail-on box in this case, but I have 3 type switches. I have a single pole, a 3-way, and a 4-way. There's nothing here. What type of switches are they? Do I have 1 3-way and 1 single pole? Do I have 2 single poles? Do I have a 3-way and a 4-way? In this case, we're going to say that they're both single poles, so I'm going to put quantity of 2. And then we only have 1 of these boxes in there. Okay, so this calculated everything for me. And let's just say now that we want the wire, okay, or receptacles. Let's take duplex receptacles. Let's say that in this room there are 5 duplex receptacles. 5. And I'm looking through this. I have 1 nail-on box, 1 decor receptacle, tamper resistant, 15 amp, 1 gang plastic decor plate, wire nuts 3 in it, wire terminations, we're going to say 2, 3/4 of a foot of black electrical tape, 2 feet, Romex 14.2. You should put that in even if you're not putting the tape on it. It accounts for your tape. Quality control 1, label tags, so we have everything here that we need. Okay. Quad receptacle, switch duplex. Branch wire. Branch wire is always 1 less than the number of boxes that we have. We have 6 hi-hats. We had 1 ceiling fan. Okay, actually I should go back and I should put the 14.3 in that. Let's go back to that ceiling fan. Ceiling fan. We have, I have it in here. 1 foot of the 14.3. It's already in the box, and 1 foot of the 14.2. Branch wire 14.2. So this is always going to be 1 less. The branch circuits are always going to be 1 less than the number of boxes that you have for it. So we had 6 hi-hats. we had one switch box, right? And that switch box has 2 switches in it, so we have one, so that's 7. So we're going to have number of branch circuits, we're going to say is 7. And the average branch length on a branch circuit we use is 30 feet. Because if you have to go over a doorway or anything, generally you have 8 feet up, 8 feet down to receptacles, 12 feet over between receptacles, and then there's a turn of the wire, the 2 curves, as you're changing direction. So we consider it as 30 feet. So for a branch circuit, we're going to say 30 feet. Okay. We're good there. Enter. And that calculated everything here. And then this is the 14.3. We're going to have just one of those because we're just going from the switch box up to the fan. And we're going to say 30 feet on that as well. Okay. Enter. And now we have home run. Okay. And I'm going to say we have 2 home runs in here. 14 home runs. One going to the switch box and one going to the receptacles. So here's home run 14.2. And we're going to say we have 100 feet for each home run. That's usually what it averages out to. Sometimes you have more, sometimes you have less, but you should use 100 feet. And then the number of segments, because we have 2 of them, 2 home runs, we're going to do that, and it gives us 200 feet. It's calculated everything for us, hours and all. Okay. So basically, for that room, we are done. So now I can go to the end, and I'm going to look at room dollar totals. Let's go up a little bit so we can see this a little better. And this is the room all, and if you notice, here's the material cost. It factored it in for me, $809.63, we'll say. And there's a total down there. The room hours, 23 hours and 18. These are estimated hours. Now remember, the actual hours are going to be half of that, which is basically a little less than 12 hours. However, that's only 50% of the labor unit. So it comes out to 23 hours and 81 cents. Same thing down there. Break even and dollar totals for that room. Our direct labor hours are those 23 hours. Direct materials $809. Overhead rate is 40%. Our job average labor rate is $33.75. And our total material and subquote is 0 because we didn't have any subcontractors, didn't rent any equipment. The markup on materials is 1.3, and our profit we put in at 10%. Our break-even, total break-even right here, is $2,113.98. This is an important number. This is a very accurate break-even cost analysis. If your contractor or homeowner says to you, you're a little bit high, I have quotes from other contractors, and if you can make or meet $2,000, I'll give you the job. You have a break-even cost of $2,113. That's the point of which you neither make money nor lose money. You cannot go below that figure. Okay, so you're going to have to say to him no, or negotiate in some way. If he's telling you that, if it's a contractor or an owner that you've done work before, it's probably legitimate that they're telling you that the price is a little bit higher than someone else. Can you meet it? But if it's a new contractor, a new homeowner, and they tell you your price is high, they're probably just telling that to everyone to see how they can get it down even cheaper. And then with the Profit on it, $2,348.80 is your bid price. This number can change depending on what you put in here for a profit. For example, if I go 5%, and then it's, that's the wrong thing, point 0.5. Hang on. 0.05. Okay. This value. And we'll go back to 0.10. I don't know why that wasn't changing, but in either case, this is, oh, I put it in the wrong place, that's why. That's your bid price at a 10% profit. Now the next thing is our assembly tree. If you're trying to find something, for example, I wanted to go from the ceiling light to the hi-hat, bath fan, ceiling, and then down to the branch wire right here. Keep a list of your assembly trees. For example, the hi-hats were 1.1.1.5. That's an assembly number. I'll show you that in a second. And then the branch wire, this is 2.2.1.1, and the home run 14.2 is 2.3.1.1. The 14.3 was 2.2. If you type in that number, for example, let's go back to that room all. And these are all the assemblies that are here. And I want to find a particular thing. For example, I want to find the home runs, I'm going to type it in right here, 2.3.1.1 equals, and it brought me right to, I typed in the wrong number. Let's do it again, find 2.3.1.1, find all. And there it is. It brought me right to that thing that I wanted to find. So keep a list of your assembly numbers. This is all prepared for you. Okay, and there's one other thing now. Let's go to the end here. Job material pivot. Okay, you notice there's nothing here, but if I right click right here, and then where it says refresh, now this just gave me a list of all the material that's in that job so I can get a quote for it. It tells me I have 5 of these boxes, plastic nail-ons, screws, AFCI combination breakers, Decora switches, so on and so forth. It's all here, so I can bring that to my supply house and get a quote on it. Thank you very much, and I hope you find this program is easy to use, because you can bring it out into the field with you. Your men can bring it, and this way, if you need to make a very quick estimate in a residential project where it's 1-2 rooms, whole house, you'll be able to do it in about a half hour, which is if it's a whole house. It's very, very quick, powerful, and it gives you very accurate information. Thank you.